Hey all, my name is IraqVet0304, and this is my GDQ submission for Mega Man 4 Any Percent. Let's get into it. Now we're going to start off with Bright Man. There's two main routes, Bright first or Pharaoh first. I go Bright first because it's a little bit more consistent and a lot safer, but you have to deal with a little bit more RNG. So basically what you can see here is sliding is the fastest way of movement in Mega Man 4. So you're going to be doing a lot of sliding, a lot of forward momentum here. You don't want to do a lot of walking or jumping. Mainly if you can just keep chaining your slides, you'll be alright. Mash down those totem poles, and those crickets are the first little bit of RNG you're going to see. They can either jump big or jump small. Now, the main thing to do here in Mega Man 4, besides being aware of all the RNG, is lag reduction strats. There are a bunch of things you can do to reduce lag, like if you shoot just enough shots to kill all the enemies without creating a lot of on-screen lag, that'll be most effective. Now you see here where there's two crickets on screen, a bullet, me, and another cricket now, and a drop. That creates a lot of lag on the screen, so you kind of want to hope for the best and try to not to get as many drops and extra bullets on screen, so it kind of goes a little quicker there, save a few frames. You're going to see me do a little hop off the top of ladders. That's just to save a few frames, because Mega Man will hesitate at the very top of a ladder just for a few frames. It just saves a little bit of time here and there. It adds up. Now we're going to make our way through these moving platforms and come up to the boss fight. Unique thing about Bright Man is at 16, 8, and 4 health values, he will freeze the screen. So in order to offset those health values, you need to shoot 2 full charge shots, a lemon shot, and then the rest full charge shots, and he will never freeze you. You know, it'll be a pretty straightforward fight. As we see here, just making sure we get those full charge shots. You want to wait, and you use audio cues, you can use visual cues here for whenever he turns green. You can also kind of hear whenever the full charge hits. So easy fight. Get lined up here in the middle center pixel here. We call it the magic pixel. As you see, I missed it slightly. All it does is if you get the magic pixel, you jump to the center instead of jumping all the way to the top of the ceiling and then back down. There are a few instances where you can skip the fanfare altogether and just teleport straight out, but it's a little trickier to do. Moving on to Pharaoh, this is the first instance where we're going to see the flash stopper used. This is why we also go Bright first. The flash stopper weapon is super broken. So when you flash the screen, you're essentially freezing time, but while you slide, the global countdown of how long the duration of that flash stopper exists will not count down. So I think it's like 5 seconds overall. If you just flash it and just stand there and wait, it's about 5 seconds. But while you slide, it will not count down. So you can essentially make one flash stopper use last the entire screen, which is super effective in these 8 robo stages. You're going to see a lot of flash stopper usage. We got that balloon weapon that's going to shoot us to the next checkpoint. The balloon is going to be super useful in this run, so we want to make sure we get that. We'll talk more about that in the next stage, but these platforms here you can kind of manipulate. They usually shoot little pellets out the side of their ears, but like I said, you want to reduce your on-screen lag, so if you kind of wait on the back end of those platforms and then slide once the next one shows up, it can trick them into not shooting those little bullets out the side of their ears. So it's all about where you're at and when you move. So nicely done here. Those mummies take about 6 shots to get rid of. Take a D-boost out of the last one. You're going to see a lot of that D-boosting, especially in the next stage. D-boosting or damage boosting through enemies just to get by a little quicker. Pharaoh Man fight's pretty straightforward. He can either jump big, jump small to your location, or he can just stand there and shoot full charge shot Pharaoh shots like he does right now. Obviously, you want to kill him to the closer to the center of the stage, because your fanfare, your weapon get fanfare won't start until all the boss explosion particles are off screen. So you want to kind of kill him a little bit closer to the center, which was a good kill there. And line up the magic pixel, which we missed again. It happens. And moving on to Ringman. Also, I want to make note the Pharaoh shot is broken in this game too. You can kind of essentially use two full charge shots for the price of one if you use it right. So we're going to see that here in the Ringman fight for sure. But this first half, we're going to use these balloons to kind of push us up this vertical a lot faster. Now, you got to keep in mind the balloon's hitbox is really big, and it causes a lot of extra lag that you don't need. So you want to kind of place them at a point where they'll despawn fast, or like in that wall where you can pop a balloon inside a wall, and the hitbox will still exist for about 4 frames. So you got about 4 frame window to jump up off of it. Switch to Pharaoh here, and here's where we're going to see a lot of damage boosting through these enemies. There's about 4 mini bosses in this stage, so if this is a tightly routed stage, if done right, we could end up with low health and low ammo once we get to Ringman fight. Right here, we're just doing some lag reduction strats, getting some of these enemies off screen so we can kind of get through a little faster. This here's the safe strat. Usually you would take a D-boost off that one too, but I wanted to kind of conserve ammo, conserve health, I mean, so we kind of stay back in a corner and knock them down that way. Another deboost through the hippo, and we're on to the checkpoint room. This checkpoint room can be a little tricky. Your slides can be a little bit hanky through these moving platforms, these disappearing platforms. There you see me had to reroute a little bit on the fly. Usually you just do top route, but sometimes you gotta take the bottom route if you get a bad screen, so bad movement. But here's our last little deboost here. Now you see we've got a little bit of extra life now, but that's because we didn't do that deboost off that one ring mini boss. Here we're gonna slide into the Ringman fight. Ringman has no RNG, so we're gonna use this full charge shot above our heads to kind of run into him, and then if we're holding B, it'll keep one in reserve. So we're basically only using, a little bit of ammo just to kill the boss, and that's it. So we just use that full charge shot to hit him, and then we have that one in reserve by holding the B button and let go of the B button, and then you get 2 shots for the price of 1. Moving on to Dustman stage. Dustman, there's a joke in the Mega Man community, Dustman sucks. That's plain and simple. He's like a vacuum. It's his RNG to him. He will sit there and suck like a vacuum and just ruin a run. So we're gonna switch to Flash Stopper here. Make this first screen a little bit more negotiable. Kind of bust through these shields. And this next room we call the lag room. There's just so much going on. We use Flash Stopper to kind of get it a little bit quicker. You can use Pharaoh Shot here too, but it's a little bit more trickier. The safe way is to do Flash Stopper strats like this. And we make it right on through. Pretty simple. A little dangerous, but pretty simple. Once you get a good feel for it, it's pretty much no surprises. Moving on to the Eddie room, checkpoint room right there, and now we got to Crusher sequence. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can do what's called the fast crushers, and it's really super tight to get that. I like to do a little zip here because I just like showing off the zip. You clear out that section, you take a damage shot and zip right through like that. In this particular game, Capcom decided the only way for you to zip is if you have iframes. So we take that hit off that Met bullet, and at the same time the crushers are coming down on top of our heads, and we zip right through. No problem. Pretty easy zip to do. Looks cool. Doesn't waste a lot of time. Doesn't save any time. So it's a pretty neat little trick to do. Just kind of do it. Dust here, we're going to use a ring boomerang on Dust. If he starts sucking us, we can do a body shot on him and he will stop his suck animation. But we got to be careful with how much health we have. We got a good pattern there. He just jumped back and forth, so not a big deal. Did a pretty good pattern for us. And we got the center pixel. Nice. So we're on a good pace right now. Moving on to Skullman stage. Here is where you'll see the very beginning of the stage is where you'll see the one and only zip you'll see in most RTA runs, where it does save a lot of time. You want to make sure that you get this zip because I think if you route it with flash stopper strats, you can do flash stopper strats, and you'll lose about 20-30 seconds. So this saves a lot of time here. So basically, you're setting up the balloon so that way when you slide into the spike enemy, he will give you iframes, and you just use your slide for that forward momentum to get right through that wall. Once again, more damage boosting. Use those balloons to pop on the walls to get up those ladders a lot faster. Get some good movement here through these shield turret screens. And that's a pretty straightforward screen. Pop that balloon in that wall to get up that ladder faster. Ladders are the true Mega Man enemy. They can be cantankerous sometimes. Here we do a little double balloon jump to get up to the checkpoint room. And then we're going to switch to our bright weapon, our flash stopper here to finish out the stage. And we just flash and buster out these enemies. You got to be careful because if you flash at the wrong pixel, those enemies will close their eyes and they'll turn invulnerable to your buster shot. So you got to be careful when you freeze those enemies. Take out these Skeleton Joes. 3 shots ought to do it while the flash stopper is active. And you move on to the boss corridor. Switch to dust. Skull is weak to dust. The really only RNG thing to Skullman is his skull shield. It can either stay on screen for a short amount of time, a long amount of time, or a mediocre amount of time. There's really not much else to it. You can kind of manipulate where he goes in this fight based off of what you do. So if you go in, fun fact, if you go into this fight and just stand still, he will just stand still. So it's totally dependent on what you do. So we got a nice gold split there. Moving on to Dive Man stage. Dive Man stage is the underwater section. We cannot jump out of our slides underwater. This Mega Man, you can jump out of your slides, but except for when you're underwater. When you're underwater, it just can't happen. We got to be careful too because there's a lot of spikes in this area. You don't want to slide accidentally right into some spikes and not being able to jump out of them. So got to be careful with your movement here. Once again, we're using flash stopper to get through this first part. Actually, we're going to be using flash stopper pretty much throughout this whole stage. So make this sections with all these enemies a lot easier to deal with. And we're on to our first mini boss. It's a whale. We just freeze them and mash them down. A lot of the top runners can mash them in one jump. I am terrible at mashing. My mashing is not good. So that's one of my biggest downfalls of my speedrun is my mashing. So we kind of take a little extra jumps to mash them down. No big deal. Moving on here. Good squishy there. Nice. Now we're falling into the checkpoint screen. This is our checkpoint screen, and we're just going to use the flash stopper right here and then shoot that enemy, and we're home free. And our next mini boss, another whale. We just flash them and buster them down. Too easy. Now, fun fact, that pit right there that we're jumping over is where the wire is. Pretty much no actual use in the speedrun, so there's not a lot of reason why to get it. And if you do get it, it will teleport you back to the previous checkpoint, so that's a lot of time wasted. It's about a minute. You'll lose about a good minute if you do that. So going into the Dive Man fight with Skull Shield, about 7 shots with the Skull Shield ought to do it. He's just going to do his little dive attacks, shoot a missile, and then go back to dive attacks. You just want to stand close to him and get him down. You know, shoot him one on each side. Trying to line up this pixel. I think we missed this pixel. I'm pretty sure I missed it. Yeah, I missed it. Okay. Dive Man stage, you can skip that weapon get fanfare animation if you line up the right pixel and jump at the right time. It saves about 2 seconds, but it happens. Sometimes you can't line it up right. Moving on to Drill Man. We're gonna also use Flash Stopper pretty much for the entire stage to make this go a lot quicker. There's pretty much not much else to it. We just kind of hope for good RNG. Drill Man is good for giving us bad RNG. So I'm going to start using our flash here, get through the squishy section and get through these Met sections and the Ladybug sections without too much of a problem. Why I jumped there, I have no idea. We got bad bat RNG right there. Usually, if you get good RNG, the bats will open early and you can kind of just slide your way through them without taking any damage. But if you do not get good RNG, you kind of have to take a little bit of a damage boost. Get through these ladybugs, then we're going to freeze this turret section and slide on these platforms. If you get a drop there, you'll drop an input like I did. And you'll kind of grab the ladder out of a weird position, but it happens. Now this next screen here, you can use one single flash stopper for the entire length of this screen if you have proper movement. I think I missed a slide here, so I'll have to flash again over this last pit. But all in all, that was some really good chain sliding. Not bad. Pretty good movement there. Now we're on to a drill man fight. Like I said, lots of RNG. He will dive into the ground at his free will, and it will lose about 4 seconds each time. Here you'll see me jumping in the corner just to count down how long he's been in the ground, and so it kind of tells me when he's going to be coming back up. There you see he drops down into the ground again. And there he goes again. Super, super bad RNG. We got two drill dives. So I think he was about ready to dive again the third time, but I was able to get that last shot in before he started his dive animation. So the first dive he does at the very beginning of the fight is scripted. He'll always do that one, so we don't really count that one. But 2 dives in Drill Man is kind of rough, but not bad. Moving on to our last 8 Robo Master is Toadman. He is a relatively simple boss fight. The stage is deceptively hard. Once again, I'll give you 2 guesses what weapon we're going to use, but you're probably only going to need one. It's Flash Stopper. We're going to use that pretty much the entire stage. This first screen here, this rain, pushes against you. So you have to really ride those slides out as far as you can on these platforms to get those jumps accurately. Otherwise, if you don't, you will jump into the pit, because no matter how hard you try to jump that gap, if that rain's pushing against you and you jump too soon, you will fall in the gap. These waterfalls here will push you forward or backwards depending on the flow of the direction of the water. So it is a little tricky here. This is a very dangerous spot for deaths right here. But we made it through pretty good there. Now another mini boss which you will never see is a snail, but we just flash him as we transition into the screen and take a deboost off him and move right on through. You'll never see him fully form unless the runner messed up. This particular screen, if you flash too late, he will soft lock you, so you got to be careful when you flash there on that last snail. Get some good movement here on these fishes. Flash the screen, just be careful, and you're home free. Now we're into the Toadman fight. 7 shots of drill, the drill weapon. So little swag drill bomb there. Toadman, the bosses have iframes, so you got to be careful when you shoot your drill bombs. You know, you got to span them out. You can't just mash the drill bombs, right? You've got to be careful when you shoot them, so you can get the most effective use of your drill bombs there. And that's 8 robos in 19 minutes and 6 seconds. Really good 8 robos there. My goal is sub 19, 8 robos, but 1906 is really good pace. I like that pace. So we're going to move on to Cossack 1. Cossack 1 has ice physics, so you're going to be sliding around a lot casually. But here we're just going to slide right through and really not have to worry about the ice physics too much. You can mess up and slide right off into a pit if you're not careful, if you have poor movement. But I think we make it through just fine. There is a E-tank to the left of that screen when you drop in. If you slide all the way to the left into the corner, you'll find a E-tank just sitting in the snow there. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people never realize that. I know I didn't until I started speedrunning this. I didn't know there was an E-tank there. And I played it all my life. Here you're going to wait for these roly-polies to get into position so you can get them down without taking damage on them. Now, our checkpoint screen's really dangerous, but we're going to take our slides out on these platforms in a specific way to where we don't worry about any damage from the Sniper Joes, and we don't worry about those dudes coming up from the pit. Here we're going to try to despawn this Skeleton Joe here, get onto this platform. I missed the platform twice. Use our balloons to kind of get up through this next vertical here. Pretty standard stuff. Not too shabby. Get through this ladder section by doing triple balloons there. Take a D-boost off the squishy. And we're on to Mothra. Mothra's hitbox is really tiny. It's a really small little red ball in his mouth. Looks like his mouth, the circle mouth there. That blinking red light is the hitbox. It's really small, and the ring boomerang, even though it looks big, it only has like a pixel of a hitbox itself right in the middle of the ring boomerang. So you kind of have to match up two small hitboxes onto each other, and it's really complicated, really tricky fight. But 7 shots and he's down. Moving on to Cossack 2. This is the trolliest of my castle stages. This is a lot like Ringman's fight. It's Ringman's stage. It's really tightly routed. You're gonna use a lot of health and ammo because you're gonna be doing a lot of damage boosting here. Here we're gonna try a little double balloon trick to get through these enemies quick, and we nailed it. Nice. So we use that balloons to pop into those walls and use a balloon trick there to kind of get up that side without taking damage off those ballerina guys. Makes turns that section from a 4-second time loss into a 1-second time. You know, that room. So not too bad. Take your little. Well, I meant to take a D-boost off that first one, but I ended up doing the second one out of habit. So. Move up these next section. Now we're on the checkpoint room. Do a little balloon jump off there. And what we do here is we get this health just because we want to play it safe. It's a little safety health. You'll see a lot of top runners not get that. They're a little bit more comfortable with the square machine fight. I, however, am not. I like to take a little safety health when I can. There we got a drop too from that last ballerina. So we now have plenty of health. We shouldn't have to worry about the square machine too much. The only issues we have about square machine is the RNG. He can give us a 3 pattern, a 2 pattern, or a 1 pattern. 3 obviously is the slowest, and all that means is how many times he goes across the screen before he forms up into one square. So this time he gave us a 2. We kind of want to get our dust shots in that little red blinking ball there in a time to where we also can't mash it. You know, you've got to span out the iframes. Oh, he gave us another 2, so that was a 2-2 on the square machine, which is pretty good. The most common pattern is a 3-2, so we got pretty lucky here with the RNG. And a 2-cycle square machine is pretty standard. You're pretty much always going to see a 2-cycle. It's pretty much always going to happen. Moving on to Cossack 3, everybody's favorite auto-scroller. Now, there's not much going on in this auto-scroller to really talk about. What I do in marathons is it's a good time for donations because you're really not doing anything. You're at the mercy of the auto-scroll. The only thing you can really do to kind of make the stage go by faster is by getting these killable enemies like these turrets here off screen as fast as you can. Same way with the moving platforms later on in the next part. You want to get them off the screen as fast as you can. I skipped those guys because I messed it up. I messed up the rotation, missed my shot on the first one, so I just said screw it. I'm just gonna keep going. uh, it doesn't create a lot of lag, but there is just some. You lose a little bit of frames. Not a lot. It's not gonna kill the run or anything, but moving on, we're gonna switch to ring here and finish out the rest. Finish out, well, this section with ring because the enemies on the next screen, these little dust bunnies, little saw guys here, they're weak to ring. So we're gonna switch here, and there's a refill coming up. We're gonna use that refill to refill our ring because that's gonna come in handy a little later on stages. There are a lot of bosses and things weak to ring in these castle stages, so we want to keep our ring filled up. That's the thing to note in these castle stages. Our ammo does not refill on level completion, so we have to be aware of how much ammo we have. We switch to Pharaoh, and what we're doing is we want to get these platforms off screen as fast as we can, along with those Saturn enemies. And we just hold that charge shot above our heads for the duration of the screen. And what that does is once we get to the boss corridor, it'll despawn the Pharaoh shot, and it won't charge us for using anything because we essentially never used a shot. We just charged it up, right? So the game will just not charge us for using any Pharaoh. See, we still got full Pharaoh ammo. Coming into the twin cockroaches, we want to use this full charge shot to our advantage, the 2 shots to our advantage. We do a lot of double shots for the price of one here. Use that, kill that top one, and put a shot on the bottom one, all with the same shot. And we kill the cockroaches pretty optimally. Right now we have the optimal amount of Pharaoh shot to have for the duration of this castle stages. But I think what we ended up doing, we took a safety ammo just here, coming up in this next stage, just to be safe. So pretty optimal fight. Moving on to Cossack 4. Like I said, we're going to take this safety ammo here because Dr. Wily capsule is weak to Pharaoh. So we want to make sure that we have plenty of ammo going into that fight. So we take that safety ammo here. We're going to switch to coil. And the reason why we switch coil without using them right here is because we want to save on the amount of times we menu in this game. Because menuing takes up time, right? So we want to go into our menu as little as possible. So we won't use them until we need to. Right here, we'll use them, and then we'll switch to drill to break down this wall, and it gives us a little shortcut here. Now, this shortcut is a lot faster than taking the top route. There is a top route, but you will never see it in the speedrun. It wastes a lot of time, and there's really no significance into going that top route. Here we're going to switch back to Buster because Cossack is weak to Buster. One of his weaknesses, at least. And what we can do is we're going to do full charge shots on him. In the American version, which is what I'm playing on, Cossack will kind of stay in place for a few seconds so we can get about 2 charge shots in on him before he starts moving. Once he starts moving, we'll start sliding into the corner, and what that does is it resets his position, so he won't move left or right. You see how he'll jerk to the left a little bit, and then I'll start sliding. That means I'm just resetting his position, so he stops moving. So essentially, we can manipulate his movement and where he is when we do our shots. Pretty straightforward. We find out here that is Dr. Wily all along. Dr. Wily kidnapped Kalinka, Dr. Cossack's daughter, in order to force him to do evil things. And we ain't nobody got time for that, right? We got to take out Dr. Wily because of this. So we're moving on to Wily 1. Now, Wily 1 here is the land of Mets. Let's go Mets. There is big Mets, little Mets, dancing Mets, stationary Mets. all kinds of mets. There's only one enemy in this entire stage that is not a met, and you just jump right over him, so no big deal. Dropping in here. We're going to pretty much use Buster the whole way. Like I said, you won't use Flash Stopper anymore in these castle stages. You use them in almost every 8 Robo stage, but in castle stages you won't use Flash Stopper. But if you're new to this game, a Flash Stopper is somewhat effective in that first part of the screens, just to kind of avoid all the shots that the Mets do. But if you do your movement right and chain your shots just right, you can get through there without any too much problem. Now here, another underwater section. We got to be careful because there are spikes above us, below us, all around us, and then the Mets. So we got to be careful with our movement so we don't die. Perfectly done. Switch to jet here because we don't want to switch to jet on the ladder here because of those spikes right there. So whenever you come out of your menu animation, you're going to be re-grabbing the ladder. So a lot of times you'll actually die because you'll touch the ladder, right? Your hitbox will hit the ladder. So you don't want to switch jet on that particular ladder. Just jump over these guys. Some people can mash those guys down if you're fast enough with the mashing, but like I said earlier, my mashing is terrible, so we're just going to jump over them. Doesn't waste a lot of time. Here's Metal Daddy. He will jump big, jump small, open late, open soon. It's really up to him. What we want to do is take D-boost off those small Mets that he spawns. And because he hits like a Mack truck, right? So we want to essentially get him down in 3 cycles. I just missed it. You want to hit him with 2 4 shots and a 5 shot, and that'll get down with 3 cycles. I just missed that last one, so we had to wait until he opened up one last time. Pretty good stage overall. Not a bad fight. He can be pretty trolly sometimes, so you got to be careful. Moving on to Wily 2 here, one of my favorite stages. We're going to be using, we're going to be selecting Jet, but we're only using them a couple of different times in this stage. But like I said, we want to save on how many times we menu, so we're going to switch to Jet early on and then just keep them active until the late end of the stage. Here we're just going to charge our Buster Shot to get through this enemies on this top section here. Bust them down, and then here we're going to call Jet because we can't make this jump without him. I thought for a second that I spawned him too high, but I just made the jump there, so that's good. And here you're going to see what I mean. We're going to call him, and we're going to use the Buster Shot to buster these guys without using Jet. We're just going to calm them down. Just because the only way you can start using Buster is if Jet is on screen, so we're only going to calm him down when we need to. We're going to use him here to kind of get up this ladder faster. And here, if you tap right, I messed it up, so I'm going to reset the room. But if you call down Jet and then tap right, he will actually face the wall, like so. So where you can jump on him, jump onto the next platform without him running you into the wall and knocking you off Jet. So makes things a lot easier getting up there. Get rid of the roly-polies. And we're going to come up to our last screen here. We're going to mash this particular gumball machine down. Switch to Toad. And then take a D-boost off this last machine. Why we switch to Toad here is because we want to do one shot as we're jumping into the boss room. That Rain Flush will actually trigger his life fill animation. So we won't have to sit here and wait for the life fill. We're going to switch to Drill. Disable his hitbox by hitting him with the drill shot. And then stand behind him and just use Ring to ring him down till he's dead without having to worry about taking damage. Pretty fun little stage. I like it. I like the boss fight. It's a pretty neat little trick you can do to impress your buddies. And then moving on to refights. Refights pretty much are refights. You know, there's really not much to it. What you want to do is you want to chain bosses together that have similar weaknesses. So like I said, once again, you're not into that menu very much. Here we're going to fill up our ring because it got pretty low. I think we're going to take... Oh, no, we didn't. Oh, we have a juice box in reserve, an E-tank in reserve, so we should be all right. Okay, now we're going to switch to dust, fill up dust, because ring and dust is what really gets used in these castle stages a lot, more than anything, really. And we're going to start with Pharaoh, who has a soft weakness of dust. So the soft weakness means it does about 2 HP of damage on the boss, but Skullman's weak to dust. So we're going to use dust to get down Pharaoh, and then move to Skull. And that's how we're going to chain our bosses together with similar weaknesses. Now Pharaoh, interesting thing here, Pharaoh's weak to Flash Stopper, but you just have to flash the screen and then just buster him down, and it takes a long time, a very long time. So this is by all means a lot faster than doing it with Flash Stopper. And then we're gonna switch to go to Skull here. Gotta be careful with our health. Our health's a little bit low. That doesn't help anything. Missed a shot, no big deal. We still have plenty of shots left. Ooh. We want to get him down before he shoots that second shield. It's usually the ideal is to get him down before that second shield. So moving on to Dive Man, we're going to have that skull shield here for Dive Man, and then once we get done with Dive Man, we're going to go to Bright and use the skull shield to hit an odd number of skull shields on Bright, an odd number, either 3 or 5. Preferably 5 shots on Brightman to offset that health value. And then we're going to finish him off with his original weakness, which is Rain Flush. Switch to Rain Flush and just get him down until he's gone. And we'll end up with 1 Rain Flush left, and that will be for Drillman, because the rain will actually do damage on Drillman while he's underground. And it'll only do 1 HP of damage. But we only got 1 shot, so we'll do that 1 HP of damage right there, and that will actually help because Drillman likes to dive with 1 HP. So we get that 1 HP out of the way as soon as possible, and then hope for the best, right? We hope for no dives, and we got no dives. That's good drill pattern right there. We're gonna switch to drill here, get Toadman. Now, you'll notice with these refights is I want to kill the bosses or be standing in that teleporter or kill the bosses near that teleporter. So that way I'm not spending a lot of time trying to get to the exit doorway. When you kill him, that last shot that triggers the kill on the boss, you want to be standing in the doorway so it immediately teleports you out. That is optimal right there. But sometimes you can't, like right there. You've got to slide into the doorway as you're killing them. No big deal. You just kill them as close to the doorway as you can if you can. Dustman here. We saved Dustman for last because the first phase of Wily Machine is weak to Ring. So we're going to use Ring here to get down Dustman and then go straight into the machine fight. Like I said, phase 1 is weak to the boomerang, the ring boomerang. It makes a little weird little E noise. It's the most annoying noise in the world, as Floyd would say. And then we switch, once he gets down to about 1 HP, we'll switch to drill, which will skip the life fill animation, and then your next drill shot will be double damage. Now the thing to note here is the explosion is what does damage on the machine, not the drill itself. So you want to hit that B button twice, 1 to fire the drill shot and then 1 to explode it early, right before the nose of the machine, so you can kind of get that explosions to hit its hitbox. We got a really good gold split, really good time on the 8 robos there, and we're looking to get our first sub 40 here in Wily 4. Wily 4 here is pure RNG nightmare. It depends on the RNG, what kind of pattern you get. What you want to get is you want to get 2 rounds of double shots with the Pharaoh and then 1 single shot. That's optimal fight. But sometimes Wily capsule can show up in a weird places, and you can only get by with one shot at a time, or any. So we're gonna try to hope for the best here. And he only has a small window to get those 2 shots in, so you got to be quick. There we got our first double shot, then a single shot, and then he spawned in the corner, so we got 1 shot, and then we got one more left. And he spawned in another corner again, and that's time. 39.59. That's our first sub 40 we ever did. And that is a huge milestone in the Mega Man community. Awesome job. It felt really good to get this sub 40. I came a long way from, I think my first submission was in 2019 with a 49 something. So I came a long way in the speed run. I've had a lot of help from a lot of great people, met a lot of good people. And I tell you what, GDQ, my first one was AGDQ 2020, and I met so many good people to help me out with this run, Chelney and Sage Hero and Looking Toad and everybody, and I just absolutely loved the Mega Man community. They've been such a good help, and I love GDQ. It's been a great event. So I hope you enjoyed my submission video, and I hope you take me into consideration to being a part of your marathon. Thanks a lot, guys, for hanging out, and we'll catch you guys next time.